Hey there, everybody. It's Jimmy with To the Top Crane here. And this isn't a rigging or crane video. And some may perceive this as a rant, but I don't want this to be perceived as a rant. This is a message that I'm hoping you guys will help me share and distribute. This is a message that needs to get out. It's about our government spending and universities, colleges, trade organizations, stuff like that. So, saw a post by a somewhat lesser known TV personality and philanthropist. You may have heard of him, a guy by the name of Mike Rowe. And he posted an article on Facebook. And I read this article, and it really lit a fire in me to come on and make a video touching on this topic, because this is a topic that's very near and dear to me. And you guys have heard me, if you've been on the channel any length of time at all, you've heard me talk about it in some live streams and whatnot. So anyway, I'm going to jump right into this, and I'll post a link to the article in the description, and maybe a link to Mike Rowe's post on Facebook in the description. And I'm going to jump right into this, and I'm only going to read a few snippets out of this article because this article is long. It's a lot of reading. But the title of the article says, "Why Donors Must Abandon Their Ivy League Alma Maters Now." So what this article talks about is how much money goes to these upper echelon colleges and universities, and basically their return on investment based on the number of students that they have enrolled and whatnot. And it is very, very lopsided as far as government spending in these colleges and universities. And it kind of upsets me a little bit, but anyway, I want to get the message out. We need to contact our lawmakers, hold our universities and colleges accountable for the money that's being spent. There's billions of dollars going into these colleges and universities. Plus, let me find the number. It's an extreme amount of money from donors. It says in June 2017, four-year colleges and universities raised $43.6 billion from personal, individual, and voluntary gifts, marking a 6.3% increase from the year before. It says state and federal governments spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year on university programs, infrastructure, subsidized student loans, and grants. This money is not evenly distributed. In 2016, out of over 3,000 universities offering four-year degrees and about half as many two-year degree colleges nationwide, 20 institutions, 20, accounted for 30% of federal spending, with 100 universities garnering 80% of total federal spending. So that to me is asinine at best. 120 universities are getting majority of the government spending. And guess what? Those universities, a lot of them are the Ivy League schools and the upper echelon schools. Schools are only accept 25% of applicants. And keep in mind, they're already getting $43.6 billion from personal, individual, and voluntary gifts. And that's a 6.3% increase over the previous year. So it's the trend is rising. Now let me go on down here. In the article, it talks about people that are wanting to give to these universities should probably spread their money to more vocational training and stuff like that. People, where your dollar can be stretched further to help more people. If you want to donate money, then instead of giving it to universities and colleges that are already getting lion's share of government funding, you could give that money to places that can stretch your dollar further, that are more in need, that don't need a new clock tower or fountain or something like that to dress up their college campus. Now, these universities that accept fewer than 25% of applicants, it says the top 10 universities in the United States, a country with over 315 million people at any given time, are educating a grand total of only 62,150 students. So that's a pretty low return on investment, if you ask me. Let's scroll on down a little further. It says the plain truth is that many young people are insufficiently interested in pursuing an academic post-secondary degree or are unsuited for this path. So therefore, donations and federal spending going towards The vocational training and post high school training would be a good place to put some of that money. And I'll get to that in just a minute as to why. It says vocational job oriented training programs are an important alternative to academic degrees. The Manhattan Institute of Orrin Cass argues that such options have long been neglected and starved for funding. The money allocated for vocational training and preparation, including many programs offered by the existing network of community colleges, is dwarfed by the amount spent on students pursuing academic bachelor's degrees. Here's where it gets interesting, and this is what kind of lit a fire under me, and this is also the quote that Mike Rowe posted on his post on Facebook. It says, as Cass and Isabel Sawhill have observed, the federal government spends more than $160 billion, that's billion with a B, to help people go to college via loans, tax credits, and grants, versus around $20 billion with a B on career and technical education and job training. Of the $70 billion in funds controlled by the Federal Department of Education directly in 2018, about half went to Pell Grants, which is support low-income students mainly in four-year bachelor's programs, but only $1.83 billion, or roughly 2.5%, to students for career, technical, and adult education. Adult education programs, which help high school graduates and dropouts obtain job skills, received a paltry $630 million. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And here's why. Right now, we have a terrible shortage of tradespeople. There are people needed in all aspects of construction, industry, mining, you name it. Our country has pushed so many people towards college programs that we have created a shortfall of people in the trades program. And it's based on a stigma and stereotype. It used to be that when you would pick up a hammer and build a house, it was regarded as a great profession, and it was a respected profession. Now people look at it as that person must be uneducated. It used to be when you'd drive down the road and you'd see someone on the side of the road with a shovel doing work, that was regarded as having good work ethic. Now it's used as a statement from a parent to a child, hey, unless you go to college, you're going to be like that guy someday. You know, it used to be that the tradespeople were respected and looked up upon instead of used as a basis for trying to drive your kids to college. Not all kids want to go to college. Not all kids are fit for college. Some people want to go into the trades, but the programs aren't there and they're not funded well enough for these people to have an opportunity to do that. We need to fund vocational training in schools. We need to fund the auto mechanics programs. We need to fund the building trades programs. We're fortunate in our local area that the local high school has a building trades program, and my son is enrolled in it. I hope that stays put. And guess what? Secret's out. We tradespeople, we get paid pretty well. How well? I make more than a lot of people with a master's degree. I can make 6 figures a year sitting in the cab of a crane, and I didn't go to college. I also read an article that by 2026, electricians are going to start somewhere in the 6-figure mark. Start in somewhere in the six-figure mark, because there's not enough electricians. What that means for everybody in the future is when you take your car to the auto mechanic shop to get it repaired, the labor rate is going to be astronomical because there's not going to be enough technicians to fill the positions, and those technicians they do get, they're going to have to pay a premium for. That shop is going to pass that cost on to the consumer. When you turn your light switch on, your cost per kilowatt is going to go up because there's not going to be enough tradespeople to man these power plants. So therefore, the people that they do get, they're going to have to pay a premium for, and they're going to pass that cost off to the consumer. When your toilet does this instead of doing this, it's going to cost you a fortune because that plumber is going to charge a lot of money because they can, because the supply and demand. It's basic economics. If you have a whole bunch of something, then cost per unit is a little bit less than if you have very little of something. Your cost per unit is very high. So you have to interact with a unit on that. If you have a plumber come to your house, that's one person. If there's only 5 plumbers in an area with 300,000 people, those 5 plumbers are going to be so backed up with work that they can name their price. If you look at the trucking industry, there's a shortage of truck drivers. There's a lot of companies out there offering huge sign-on bonuses to get truck drivers in the seat because they have to move the goods across the country. What I'm getting at is if we don't inject some people into the trades programs and into the vocational training and get them into the workforce, our future is going to get pretty expensive. Right now, there's a huge shortage of tradespeople, and it's only growing. We have pushed the college agenda for far too long. We've pushed it to people that get degrees in studies that they can't earn a living in because they didn't know what else they wanted to do, and they were only offered college as a pathway. So we need to offer the trades, vocational training, manufacturing, machining, mining, all that stuff as a pathway, as an alternative. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people that need to go to college. There are professions that require a college degree. So I'm not saying that we need to eliminate it, but we need to refocus for our future. We need to let people know it's okay to work with these, that it's okay to make a living with your hands and hard work. And it's a very rewarding career. I sit in a crane because I enjoy it. I can pull into a job site in the morning, have a stack of material, and when I leave, there's a structure. I can build bridges that'll be there for over 100 years, and in doing so, I'm basically leaving my legacy behind that I built that bridge. My great-grandkids will be able to tell their kids that, hey, your great-grandpa or great-great-grandpa built that bridge. That's part of my legacy, and I'm leaving it behind. We have to change our mindset and our perception. When you're walking down the street with your kid and you see a guy digging with a shovel and he's working, tell your kid, hey, you can go to college, or if college isn't your fit, you can earn a good living like that guy that's working with his hands. When you see a person like me sitting in a crane, don't perceive us as uneducated. I promise I'm very well educated. Although I went to college for 6 weeks and it wasn't my thing. But because I work with my hands doesn't mean I'm uneducated. So we have to change that perception. We have to let kids know that they can go out and have good work ethic and build things and earn a good living and have a very prosperous career in life in doing so. Anybody that is pursuing a career in the vocational trades after high school, if you're short on funding, contact Mike Rowe Works. Mike Rowe Works is looking to get rid of $1 million by the end of March. So mikeroweworks.org. He's looking for applicants. He has to get rid of $1 million by the end of March. He's looking for applicants into the vocational programs. If you're pursuing a vocational career and need funding, reach out to mikeroweworks.org and apply. He's looking for applicants. He has to give this money to somebody. He has to do it by the end of March. But in all, contact your senators, your lawmakers. Let them know how displeased we are with how they're spreading the wealth for post-secondary education. And they're giving it to universities and colleges that are getting billions in donations. And if you're donating to these universities and colleges and feel like you want to do more with your money, give it to places like Microworks. Give it to your local high school vocational program. Build them a shop. Equip it with machinery. If you can give millions to a university, those millions can buy a lot of table saws, routers, workbenches, and a teacher for your high school vocational programs. We need them. We got to have them. I'm going to jump off my soapbox. Please help get this message out. It needs to be spread. The word needs to be spread. We're going to have significant problems in the future if we don't get more people out here working alongside me, or people like me.